alleged remark. Joining us now is Eleanor Clift, of course, contributing editor for Newsweek magazine and columnist for the Daily Beast, and of course you watch on the McLaughlin Report. Hello, Eleanor.
Hello.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Happy to, sure.
So, what do you make of Mr. Rove's comments?
Well, I hate to question someone's motives, but you kind of drop those little things into the bloodstream of the country, and it gets people chattering, particularly on the right, people who presumably would not like to see Hillary Clinton necessarily run or get elected to the White House, and questions about her health get raised, and I think it's a way to sort of, seed suspicion that she may be somehow hiding something, that we didn't get the full story. I think in what's been reported that Karl Rove said that she spent, several days in the hospital, and do people spend that long in the hospital? So, again, sort of just putting these sort of notions out there that critics will feed on. So, but, she's a big girl, and, we're in a nasty period of politics, so I think it's to be expected.
Do you think it's fair? I mean, Karl Rove then went on to hold up, I believe it was a New York Times story from '08, where, or a little prior, where they said that John McCain's age and health would be an issue. So is it fair for Hillary's age and health to be an issue?
Oh, it's going to be an issue. Anybody who runs for president has to go through kind of a full physical examination and have medical records get released, as I recall, and sure, there'll be questions, but the way he's raising it does seem in a kind of a partisan context.
Well, you would expect partisanship from Karl Rove, no matter what. You could say that if you're as a conservative or a liberal, that's for sure.
Totally.
Interesting. I had Lynn Cheney up here last week on her book about Madison. She subsequently went out to, I believe, California, and with Dick Cheney, they hosted an event, or were participants in an event on the book. And you wrote a piece about that, where when she started talking in the book, and then about the book, where Alexander Hamilton and James Madison's rivalry, and then you drew a kind of an analogy, I believe.
Well, the event was right here in Washington.
Oh, okay. I thought it was in
yesterday
California.
Afternoon at the American Enterprise.
Oh, well, there was one in California, so I assumed you were writing about that.
Which happens to be in the same building where the Daily Beast is located, so I just had to go up,
Convenient, yeah.
a couple of floors, and they're very good together, and they have, as I said in the article, they have all this kind of pattered down, and they do play to all the allusions to the intrigue then and the intrigue now. And one of the questioners was about Hamilton versus Madison, and how Madison and George Washington became alienated, and Madison was no longer welcome at Mount Vernon. And during this time, Dick Cheney, former vice president, is kind of sitting there kind of smirking and kind of mugging for the audience. And when Cheney basically said that this narrative has been used forever, where you have, the president's a good guy and you have this evil genius who gets demonized, and the audience laughed along with it, and I think everybody, realized that their conversation together was as much about Dick Cheney and his time in the White House as it was about James Madison and his time on the national stage.
I want to ask you, Eleanor, about something you said on the McLaughlin Report, which has caused a stir in many circles. Let's let the audience see what you had to say.
This animates the right wing of the Republican Party, and I would like to point out that Ambassador Stevens was not murdered. He died of smoke inhalation in the safe room in that CIA installation.
I don't think that's the fact,
but it
Eleanor.
Changes that. I think that is a
no.
fact.
I think I've heard a drastically different story from people who are also in the know about that. So I don't think it was
attack, Eleanor. He was murdered in a terrorist
It was an opportunistic terrorist attack that
opportunistic. That's the question.
That grew out of that video.
The video had nothing to do with it.
There were demonstrations across the
world
because
Benghazi,
of that.
Not in Benghazi. There was no video related to it at all. That's why you're
still opportunistic, and it's still a CIA. And if you're going to put people on trial, we should put David Petraeus on trial, not Hillary Clinton.
All right, to the point that David Petraeus was not, I'm sorry, that Ambassador Stevens was not murdered?
I was taking issue with the sort of glib use of the word murdered, and I think, dying of smoke inhalation in the safe room of a CIA outpost has a slightly different feeling. And my point is that it was a very chaotic event. The CIA was involved, which is why there was a lot of confusion initially, and that all the questions that this special committee is raising have been asked and answered in previous investigations.
But would you like to take that back or redo the answer?
No,
because,
I don't. No,
all right. Well,
no,
what about
no.
the people at 9/11 who were incinerated, or some died of smoke inhalation, or some jumped, some disintegrated? Were they not murdered?
I was just trying to add a little bit of complexity, and I'm going to stick with what I said.
So okay, so you don't think if someone sets your building on fire with the intent to attack you and you die in the fire, smoke inhalation or being burned to a crisp, you're not murdered? I don't get it.
I realize this causes a lot of emotion. As I said, I'm going to just stick with the
Well, then what was he? How would you describe his death? I mean,
her,
he died of natural cause. I mean, I'm not looking at, I'm just trying to, in my own mind.
The way the word has been sort of tossed around, I think leaves a different image in people's minds. When you tell most people how the ambassador died, they appear not to have understood what happened. And I was just trying to add a little more facts to what is.
Well, we don't know for sure. I mean, there have been reports that he was brutally attacked. There's no proof of that I've seen, although there was blood in that room by a toilet. And I don't want to get more in depth than that. I believe it was CNN and one of the networks at the time went there and documented this. There's no proof that it was his blood, but there was speculation that he died a gruesome death. But again, how would you say that if he was, God forbid, your relative, would you tell people that he was murdered or not?
I would say that he died of smoke inhalation, and there was another person in that room who did get out and tried to get back in.
So it's like a guy whose lamp.
Complexity. If that doesn't satify you.
No, but it's like a guy whose lamp short-circuited in the middle of the night, and he died of smoke inhalation.
And we'll wait for the report.
But it was a terrorist attack, was it not?
I believe it was labeled a terrorist attack.
And if you die in a terrorist attack, were you not murdered?
Sir, I'm going to stick with my explanation.
Okay, fair enough. Eleanor, fair enough. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, that's all.
What you said. All right.
Okay, I appreciate it. Hey, really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Eleanor Clift, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and Eleanor Clift is certainly entitled to her opinion. But, I had a doctor, may he rest in peace, wonderful man, up in his, I guess, 60s, low 60s. I got a call about a year ago that in his house in upstate New York, there was a fire, and he died in the fire of smoke inhalation. He couldn't get out. Now, he wasn't murdered. That fire was accidental. Ambassador Stevens was killed, admittedly, by Eleanor Clift in a terrorist attack. That's murder. Whether you fall down the stairs running out, whether someone clubs you over the head, whether they stab you through the heart, or whether they set a fire and you die. Does anybody else get it? We'll come back with the panel. Don't go away.